anything, really.
Yeah, well, when you can buy in bulk at such a reasonable price,
yes, exactly.
who says no to that? I am also addicted to the Timu.
Yeah, we have 16 in the program. But yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Don't worry. No.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I'll just send out a video sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so in all these cases, they all play travel ball together. And so they've all been playing together. So they need to progress. They have about 6 sets in a row that they
I'm going to obviously mention and introduce you as being here. When I introduce myself, should I give them a background that I was a teacher and taught these subjects?
Think about it as like 3 sentences, and then it helps establish your credibility that you're from where you were in a classroom.
Yeah, because it's the relatable point. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. I put my phone away. It's probably close to 8. Oh, I will go just sit up here till someone tells me to do something.
All right, are we live? All right. I'm going to pop for a little bit. Morning, how you doing? How you feeling about your framing? You liking it?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay. You get the seat of honor. If you decide, you can either wear this, or if you start talking, I mean, this is going to be your hot mic. So you can clip it on, or you can just talk into it. Yeah, just clip it on, and then it'll pick you up wherever.
Great.
And let's make sure hang on a second. I said that, then I lied. I just want to make sure that the screen is facing up. So, all right, you look amazing.
Great. Thank you.
But nobody sits in the middle.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Who's the biggest How are you doing? Good. Lap board for your computer?
Oh, no, I think I'm good.
Lap board?
Yes, that would be lovely. Where is it?
You know, Steve Jobs always had his computer in his lap. And
That's what happened to him. All right, we're hot. We're live.
Okay, and you'll just kind of point at me when the mic's on.
Yeah.
Okay. And what may some still trickle in a little late.
I wish I had a good answer for you. I mean, I was expecting a little more of the middle school, but it looks like the majority of those are going to watch the stream.
Okay.
I don't know what you heard that they had
The bad incident.
Bad
Yeah. Of 2025.
classic. Yeah, so some of them may trickle in. We may get, there's any number of possibilities. So
So-
I tried to make it as open as I could. So hopefully that's not too hard.
And I'll definitely mention middle school as well. So these are mostly high school educators.
These are all high school educators. You will have potentially some primary school educators tuning in during the day, depending on what's
going
on. And of course, there's very distinct possibility that almost anybody could watch it later on.
Yeah. Counselors, coaches, administrators.
Exactly. All of the
Maybe,
above.
okay, not in this room, but potentially
No.
watching later.
Watching later.
Okay.
I know I have at least a couple of administrators tuning in, and they'll be multitasking and then reviewing it later on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah, so this is a pretty broad audience at the end of the day.
Yep.
McKenna.
You're good to go.
I'm on?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, hello, Hamilton. I think we're about to begin. I just wanted to take this moment to thank you for having MTDA and the Frontier Learning Lab here to talk to you guys about some AI tools. I know some of you are aware of AI, potentially using AI. And so this specific professional development is about a tool that is within Google, and as a Google school, you have access to it. And I'll get more into that later in detail. For right now, you all know the famous Jason Neiffer. He is here today. I'm going to go through some slides with you first. We'll take a break. We'll come back. I'll show you some use case demos. And then that last chunk of time is for you to take any documentation you have, resources, lesson plans, slides. I could go on with examples right now and create your own artifact to take into your classroom, whether it's for your personal use within a PLC, and eventually when you are comfortable using this tool, perhaps student-facing as well. So my name is McKenna Akani. I am an ambassador for the Frontier Learning Lab. I have taught in rural communities and in larger districts. So I was an MCPS for a while at CS Porter. A lot of language learners, a lot of students who needed help just getting to benchmark. And then out in Alberton, a very rural community, and trying to, in my end, I taught kindergarten through 8th grade STEM along with a few other courses, but to try and get them the same access to technology that other districts might have easier access to. So now I'm at Frontier Learning Lab, and we are helping to promote AI and XR and VR, so virtual reality, into our Montana schools. And Jason is my clicker, so. Awesome, thank you. So you guys are aware of some of the narratives that have been put out through the media regarding AI. Some of those being how we're going to save time as educators using AI, and how great is that? Next. Time saving, next. AI teaching assistants that will make it so that we have more time and that we can help improve student learning. Jason, thank you. That, again, we're saving time and improving our planning and our lessons and more face-to-face time with students. That would be the narrative that AI is a time saver. The next narrative is that cheating happens, and absolutely it does at all levels, right? At K-12, but also higher education. That we need an anti-doping movement in the education field. That I enjoy this one because everyone's cheating their way through college, and it talks about a student in college who admitted, I used AI for 80% of my work. And the question being, well, if you're using AI for 80% of your work, where's that learning coming from if you're only adding 20% of your own personal viewpoint in there? And then I also love that China has decided that during national testing, they're just going to completely shut off AI across the country. So that narrative is that it's a cheating machine. And there's value to that, right? That's not how we want students to be interacting with AI. The next then is that my students are cheating, and that's a good thing. That everyone is using AI to cheat in school. Again, that's good. And then the one that kills me too, because I've heard stories about this, and maybe you have too, is you have an exceptional student and they're being accused of using AI. You know, and there's not a whole lot of validity behind those AI checking platforms. So moving on from that, the atrophied brain from AI, conveniently placed right next to an advertisement of Miley Cyrus. So what's really atrophying your brain? That narrative is that we are getting brain rot. Our students are getting brain rot because they're not using their brain and they're using AI ineffectively. The fourth narrative is that smarter machines make us smarter. That we're getting smarter, but perhaps none the wiser. What are we really internalizing and keeping if we're using AI for a portion of our education? And how AI will enable us to work smarter and faster. And that artificial intelligence will make you smarter. So that fourth narrative being that AI makes you super, super smart. Your students, you, and that's kind of a mixed statement. So we need to have this mind shift of what we're seeing in the media, what we're hearing, what we're concerned about, and instead be prepared to use this tool of AI to transform learning so that our students are using it in a way that benefits them later in life, for careers, for their own personal knowledge in higher education. There's a very big difference between what a lot of people assume AI stands for, and it does stand for artificial intelligence, or I'm sorry, yeah, artificial intelligence, but that would be like a replacement, right? So think your GPS is artificial intelligence. It's something that is automated, so asking Alexa a question. What we're talking about today is augmented intelligence, and the purpose of augmented intelligence is not to replace or automate. It's so that you can collaborate and enhance your practice and student learning if used correctly. So we need to change our ideas of AI as a vending machine, right? AI is where we just get answers to our essays and our questions, to perhaps it's better used as a thought partner. And that takes a lot of work on the educator's part and the student's part to be able to understand this is a tool that will stick around and help you throughout life and in your future career, whichever pathway you choose to take, if used correctly. The other idea is that we're not just saving teachers time and making things faster, nor for our students. What we want is our thinking and our practice to be better. So we're improving our practice, our education, our students' learning by utilizing a tool that does in fact save time. So AI as a human replacement, I don't really think that's the truth. In fact, I think it's an incredible tool set, and it can actually multiply your workload so that you are achieving more than a single individual because you're using these tools as a thought partner, as a research assistant, as something to conversate with, to give you ideas for differentiation and improvement in your classroom. So our goal today is to understand what's called retrieval augmented generation, so RAG. And the tool we're going to focus on today is NoteBookLM. And NoteBookLM is built into the Google workspace. So as a Google school, you have that option to use that tool. It's implemented into areas like Google Classroom, and we'll get to that later, but it's something that's already built into your school's Google platform, so you have that data privacy and security at an enterprise level so that you know what's being used within NoteBookLM is not going towards training the next general large language model, right? That information is kept within your school system. NoteBookLM has a few core functions, and I'm not going to just read this slide off to you, but I'll highlight the ones that I think are very important. So NoteBookLM is source fundamental, meaning that it's only going to use the sources and the resources, documents, PDFs that you put into it. And it's a multi-format source. So you can upload PDFs, you can upload Google Docs, you can upload YouTube videos. They have a wide variety of what you can upload to these so that you are able to use only the sources you have approved for either your students or yourself as a research assistant. NoteBookLM also has chat capabilities. So once you upload your sources, you can interact with it. You can ask questions. You can ask it to synthesize and analyze data. You can ask it to give recommendations or differentiation for what you have course material-wise. Another great function, and I'll show you these when we get into some demos, is there are studio features like audio podcast overviews. So you can have a very complex text that you have uploaded into your NoteBookLM, and you can have it create about a 15-minute podcast where it's a conversational piece that goes over everything in the document that you uploaded. So it's digestible for students. It's something that they can do easily while riding home in the vehicle, sitting at home, and it gives them that extra enhanced input on what you have already provided in the classroom. And then my favorite part is that it's a collaborative thing, right? So you are collaborating with the notebook that you have created, or your students are interacting and collaborating with it, and it becomes a chat-only option. So you can ask questions, you can ask it for retrieval of certain information. And what it does is when it gives you a response, it has in-text citations that go directly back to the resources that you have uploaded so that students are able to start understanding that we need to cite where we're getting this information from. The other part that I like is that when you share your NoteBookLM, either with colleagues, students, whomever, you have the option so that it is chat-only, a chat-only notebook. So your students can actually go in and click on the files that you've uploaded and look at those. They're only able to interact with the chat part of that. So you can think of Notebook as your ground source specialist trained on only the information that you've given it. And it's purposeful that that information is narrowed down to what you approve so that it's not just accessing the entire website using a general chatbot like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot. It's there to analyze and synthesize data for you, and it is purposefully narrow and specific in what it is grabbing information from. Why I would recommend this to educators is that it really does save you time. This is, in fact, an augmented intelligence that will help you save time pouring through dense data, research papers, perhaps articles that you have found and you want to learn more about. It saves you that time of pouring through it individually and being able to have a conversation within your own notebook for you to better understand information. It also will, as I mentioned earlier, help you to differentiate instruction. You can ask it to lower the lexile level of a text. You can ask it to differentiate text for learners with IEPs. Like I said, for those whose first language is not English and they are emerging learners, you can have translation done through NoteBookLM with over 100 plus languages already implemented into the system. So here are some use case options: differentiated instruction, assessment, review, and creation. You can upload documents, lecture slides from a unit, and have NoteBookLM help you to prepare study guides, quizzes, review questions. There's some features on here where you can choose a specific unit and have it create flashcards that you can then put on Google Classroom and your students can go through and review. You can have it do in-depth research. This would be more of a personal tool for you first to better understand a subject, maybe an emerging technology that is progressing so fast it's hard to keep up with. And then also active student learning, and we'll get to some use cases of that soon. Thank you. So the Frontier Learning Lab offers a variety of professional developments. Right now, we are in the NoteBookLM professional development. If at some point in your involvement with AI, the bot conversation wants to appear, that's possible too. But why we're focusing on NoteBookLM is because what we want is deep analysis of specific course materials and verifiable information where it is cited for you so that you can directly go back to the documents that you have and see exactly where you're getting this generated answer from. If you're looking for something maybe student-facing that would allow for creative options or general information or chat capabilities, a conversation partner, that would be a bot. And those are two different things, both within the Google umbrella. But right now, because we want to focus on educators feeling comfortable with these tools, we're going to talk about NoteBookLM. So we're going to kind of demystify what RAG really is. Jason.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. So what you're looking at here would be my analogy of the internet, right? Tons and tons of documents, some of them outdated, some of them untrue, some things with biases. That would be the internet. Jason? This lady would be your large language model, your ChatGPT, your Copilot, your Gemini. They are using that entire internet as their resource. This is where you're going to see answers if you've ever suspected AI is being used because, wow, this student is talking about something I didn't even mention in class. That's because they're referencing the whole internet. So NoteBookLM will eliminate that because what they're using with this generative AI is only what you are providing them based on your course materials, lectures, and what you are trying to teach that student. So then what we have here is our NoteBookLM. This is your librarian with the resources that you have given them, and they are a source expert for you or for your students to reference and engage with your curriculum directly. I'm going to show you this graph. I was very big on emerging technologies when I was in the classroom, and I always made sure to circle back and make sure that I'm paying attention to this chart. On the bottom here, we have the teacher's use of technology and how it's being implemented. But we also have on the left side, the student's interaction with technology. And what we want to make sure with this model is that we're not replacing traditional instruction. We can't replace educators. You guys aren't going anywhere. AI doesn't work without you. We want to amplify your teaching practices, and we want to transform that. On the student end, we don't want our students to be passively watching something to learn something, passively sitting there. We want them to be interacting and creating with technology. So some use case examples for AI, and we'll talk about this. We're always trying to aim for these top 4 squares. So some of those examples would be passive learning, but it amplifies the teaching practice, would be using one of NoteBookLM's functions, which is their audio overview. That's something that students can listen to in their free time to hear again what you have already told them. Another example would be a virtual training assistant, and that's something we can use NoteBookLM to help them use to understand what you've already taught in the classroom, what resources you've already provided, so that if they are struggling with something either in the classroom or at home, they can use this function to better understand a topic when you might not be around or you might be helping another student. When we're going for something that's creative for students but amplifying teacher instruction, we can think of AI as a co-writer for a research paper. And I have a use case example of that for you later. But you can basically imagine a student using AI to help organize thoughts and create a, I don't want to say a rough draft, but more of a guided form so that they can start writing and creating their own paper based off of your materials, and having this AI go back and forth without giving answers to propose ideas for the student to then create their own assignment. And then if we're very ambitious, and these do exist, but we're not talking about them necessarily today, are AI-powered virtual lab simulations. So, I mean, I was a K-8 STEM teacher. I love science. And so I had a lot of simulations in my class. And what that was beneficial for is there's a lot of lab stuff you can do in the classroom hands-on, and that's great. But it's really difficult to do lab simulations like nuclear fission. That's just not an achievable thing we can do in the classroom. But what we can do is we can use AI-powered simulations to have students engage in that activity and be able to interact with AI, so that if they're not understanding something, that AI can then take a step back and meet the student where they're at to help them progress to their full understanding and benchmark. And then up in the upper left-hand corner, if any of you know what Nano Banana is off Gemini, where you can do image creation. So it's just an image generator. That's something that's creative for students, but very passive for educators. And that's a debatable topic, because when you're having a student make a presentation, I'm not so sure I would be upset if they used AI-generated images. If I were, however, in a media arts class, that would be a no-no. So without too much further ado, we are going to talk about NoteBookLM now. And we're going to talk about how to use it, how to upload documents, its limitations, what it is best known for, and also new features, which I would assume NoteBookLM for most of us is new in its entirety, but there's new features that are added on a semi-regular basis. So what I've done, and what IT and I have worked out, is you should be able to join this Google Classroom, and that code is at the bottom. The reason we're doing this is so that you have something to go back to and refer to after this presentation. That includes resources, the slides. When we have this YouTube video, we'll have kind of an audio overview for you as well to go back to. And then in there, I have created 4 different use case NoteBookLMs for you to interact with. And once we're done feeling comfortable with interacting and seeing the value behind NoteBookLM, I'm hoping that all of you have resources on your computers that you can start to think, I could do that right now. And then you have the guidance of Jason and I to walk around the room and help you with any questions or concerns you may have. Yes? That is a lowercase L. I know, I knew that was going to cause confusion. Oh, IT's on it. Okay. Were there any questions that weren't about the issue logging in to Google Classroom? All right. IT, if it's all right with you, maybe if people need to take a bathroom break while we figure this out. All right, so if you need to grab water or use the restroom, feel free to do that. And then once we figure that out and we get you in, we can figure it out.
We were wide open. I just set us wide open for today.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help me look at this. It's a little bit out of the frontier. Come on, it's gonna be settings. Class settings. Yeah, see, I have it. Users. Oh, it switched over. This was like everybody yesterday. Google is just nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I need to take this off if I'm going to use the restroom?
That's a tough question.
Where do
I'm
you
gonna
go?
say.
I'm going to just read it.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
I'm going to put it here just to be safe. No one needs to listen to that.
Miss Hattlestead, do you mind trying that again? You might have to refresh your page. I know I should have tested this. One thing I didn't test. And folks, if you can give it another try, it should be available now. Famous last words. What's it say? Wrong account? Yeah, it's changed. It just might take a hot minute for it to. Yeah, maybe close class and open it back up again, if you don't mind. Yeah, I think what happened is I started creating an allow list with you guys on it, and then it must have automatically switched us.
Yeah. That's it's not the first time I've heard of weird 180 switches in the organizational units.
Because it's not even an OU specific setting. It's the whole domain.
Yeah, about
It's weird that it doesn't kick in already, you know.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's weird because I'm looking at this going, what is not the way it should be? There seems to be a lag in terms of how it's hitting their accounts.
So what we can do is...
And the weird thing is even though it defaulted to your allow list, you guys are on the allow list. Yeah, this is definitely.
Yeah. So a workaround, figure it out, is I can demo from up here.
Yeah.
And then have them just open their own notebooks.
Yeah, I think that's,
And then we'll get you all of that information on that Google Classroom later.
Yeah.
Well, and I would be very surprised if it doesn't eventually crack open. I'm just a little bit confused as to why it's taking a hot minute for that setting
There's a chat button.
to reach those accounts.
Right. I'll,
All right, cool.
I took this off, I'll put it back on.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No, it's fine.
No, it's okay. Things like that happen.
Yeah,
It's the magical mystery
I'm not gonna beat
tour.
myself up too much. I'm looking at what it should be, and we all know that
And it looks right.
And then I'll go grab that mic. And
Yeah.
sounds
Good
good.
call. Yep. You good?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just run through some use cases. Maybe
Yeah.
we can figure this out while that's happening.
Yeah. And just show off what you were gonna show off.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm not sure how many people are gone or still here. Maybe I don't have my watch on yet.
most people are back in.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so while we're figuring out that technical difficulty, that does not impede us from moving on. So those of you who would like to access the Google Classroom, I am sure we can figure that out. If for whatever reason that's not a possibility, all of these resources will be available to you. We will either send it via email or share a folder through Google Drive with you. So in this classroom, there are a few things I want to point out. One is Montana's AI guidance for K-12 schools, which did just recently come out. That is for your reference as you, as a school and a district, progress with AI and how you interact with it in your school. The next is I have a copy of the NoteBookLM Educator's Quick Guide. So for any of those viewing via YouTube, or for those of you who want to go back and reference material, this is here for that purpose. And in here, I have again that class code that we can fix at some point for you, and then just some copy and paste prompts into these NoteBookLMs that MTDA and FLL have created for you. And I will show you some of the benefits that come from using a NoteBookLM. Also, we have our slide deck here, and we would be able to upload new current information, including an audio overview of what was spoken about today so that you may go back and reference that as you need. I'll explain PDF Gadget in a moment. And then down at the very bottom, you have the 4 different notebooks that I have created. So the first one that I have created for you is for a fake academy in Montana, as to not pick on any actual districts in Montana. And if I open this notebook, what you'll see is my one source that I uploaded. And what I uploaded is a Google Doc. And if I open it, you'll see that it's board meeting minutes of the agenda items talked about running from the future years of 2026 through 2027. So we have a very good amount of board meeting minutes and topics in here. And something important to know is that when you upload a Google Doc into your resources, if I were to say add more resources, you can go to your Google Workspace and you can upload slides, you can upload Google Docs, and if you have a running Google Doc for something I'll talk about, our PLC meetings, then you are able to upload that and just refresh the document so that it is currently up to date. You can add links to different sites, and you can add YouTube videos as well. So I'll give some use cases here. Available to you on the Educator Quick Start Guide are some example prompts for you to be able to use. There's some use case examples for your own personal use. And then down here, under the Google Classroom, is where you're going to find some copy and paste prompts so that you can see the use of NoteBookLM. So for our board meeting minutes, I'm just going to copy and paste this prompt, which will allow us to see the value in the retrieval and synthesis part of a NoteBookLM. So the Montana Fake Academy board meeting for 2026-2027, you get a brief summary, and then you have the option to come down here and type, or in my case, paste your prompt. So I'm going to ask this notebook to track the evolution of the student dress code and the student cell phone policy. When was each first discussed? When was each officially adopted? And who voted against the cell phone policy? Right now, our RAG is looking through the document provided and finding different places where it can cite where it found information. So here's the evolution of the student dress code. It was first discussed in January. We know this because it'll take me directly to where that is mentioned. We then see policy review. The board reviewed, and they decided that they would draft a dress code and schedule a special policy workshop for the following month. And then it was officially adopted the following month in March. Likewise, we have the same information from the student cell phone policy. The voting outcome, the motion to adopt the policy was passed with a vote of 3-2. Who voted against the cell phone policy? The source indicates that 2 people voted against the policy. However, the meeting minutes do not specify the names of individuals. That would be mostly not to bully our fake academy board members. You can ask any of these other ones as well. Why don't we try out community relations and concerns? So if I copy and paste this in, and I can either press this button, it'll refresh the chat, or you can just have one continuous chat, that as well. So synthesize all community concerns raised to the board over the 2-year period, including traffic, policy feedback, and list the official board review of that. So now, again, cited for our reference, the community concern and student dress code and the policy feedback. Traffic and parking issues were an issue in 2026. The board approved the plan to restripe the parking lot and hire a part-time traffic attendant. Student cell phone use, handbooks, homework policy, and then this high school start time approval. So this would be something that if you were like me and you attended your school board meetings, perhaps you want to be up to date on what is happening at a moment's notice, or if you are an administrator, this would be a great tool for you to use. So that is our NoteBookLM on board meeting minutes. The next one I'm going to show you, and the rest are all educator facing. So right now we have our NoteBookLM 7th grade math PLC. So in here, I have again a Google Doc of running notes from almost a year's worth of PLC meetings for a 7th grade math team. I also have gotten some scholarly resources and vetted resources regarding evidence-based PLC implementation. I have added that to this as well, so that when we reference our PLCs, we make sure that we are being as effective as possible in these scenarios. As well, I put in the Montana math standards for grade 7. If we come back to this start guide, we can go down to the correlating NoteBookLM, and we can ask, Based on the meeting minutes, what were 2 clear instances where a change in instructional practice led to positive student outcomes? It's going to look over the resources provided, and it will give us back cited information. So we incorporated a ratio proportion refresher course to prepare students from 6th grade end of year to beginning in 7th grade. We agreed to incorporate a 2-day ratio rate refresher with positive student outcome and better performance in 7th grade proportional work. We were prioritizing geometry vocabulary instructions. Let's choose this one, which is exemplifying resource retrieval and content curation. So this is asking, compile a list of all the shared resources from our PLC, hands-on activities or creative contextual examples that were proposed or used. And so now we have a lot of information. Now we have the responsibility or location, the source or tool, and the purpose of that. So common ratio proportion remediation worksheets was chosen. Mr. Johnson decided to task this in preparing those documents. Graphing questions to be finalized and included in the Unit 2 Common Assessment. Ms. Stone was tasked with this and finalizing. Hands-on lab templates for slope rate. Ms. Bell took on this activity. Pre-assessment, fraction decimal, we can go on. But what it'll do is it'll show you who did what, who was tasked, and the outcome of that. As far as hands-on labs, I like this one, slicing lab using Play-Doh and modeling clay for slicing 3D shapes. Ms. Stone was tasked with purchasing the necessary Play-Doh modeling clay and using the PLC funds to do so. And then a 2-day hands-on probability lab as well. The next notebook that I have for you is our 7th grade math curriculum. So what I did here, not knowing your guys' curriculum nor having access to it, is I found Eureka Math 7th grade curriculum. This includes teacher editions, student workbooks, and additional student material. Why I like this is I can deselect all of the courses, all of the materials, and I can decide I'm going to be gone on module 3. So I'm going to have additional student material, student workbook, and teacher edition highlighted. And then I'm going to type a quick prompt on how I need subnotes because I'm going to be gone for these days. And unless I am the odd man out, subnotes were my least favorite thing to do, especially when it's last minute that you find you are not going to be able to be present in the classroom.
We're gonna need a pivot here, I think.
Because of the Google Classroom.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think they're gonna get access, but what I would do is go ahead and get through your demo here, and then I would demo just a clean Google notebook.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm gonna show you one from scratch.
Okay.
I'm gonna add a couple resources to it.
Okay.
Do that live, and then we'll give them an opportunity.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so now that I have my math curriculum uploaded, I've selected only which chapters I will be needing subnotes for. Pardon my typos, I never taught English, and that was for a good reason. So I'm asking, please help me to prepare subnotes for this module. I will be gone and need clear, concise instruction. All right. So what it has given us is not only subnotes for perhaps 1 day, 2 days, now you have notes for the entire module. So going over expressions and equations, it's going to give the overarching goal. It's going to show use properties of operations to generate equivalent expressions. And then it's got lesson concepts, key instructions, and it moves on to topic B, solve problems using expressions, equations, and inequalities. I did this exact same thing for teaching probability. And it does the exact same thing where it'll give general subnotes, day 1, how long it'll take, what to cover, what materials, what vocabulary, examples for being written on the board, all without spending the massive amount of time and energy that subnotes take, especially when you are sick, last minute, and need something quick. The other benefit of being able to select and deselect parts of your resources is you can have it create artifacts from you in Studio, and I'll demo this with you, and it will present flashcards. So now you can take this link once you've made a Google Classroom and you've uploaded your NoteBookLM, or anybody in your Google Classroom, and you can share these. So now students can go through and quiz themselves. What is a variable? And it will tell you the answer, and you can even ask it to explain for further comprehension. And these go on. It provides up to 68. You can ask for it to be lowered if you would like. But it's a handy tool for your students to have available to be able to prepare or study for an exam. It looks like at the moment we're not able to have you join the Google Classroom, and that's all right. Instead, what I'm going to do is I am going to demonstrate creating a NoteBookLM. So I clearly already have my own set of NoteBookLMs. You can find NoteBookLM in the waffle or the Rubik's Cube, whatever it is you call it, down here. You would click Create a New Notebook, and it'll initially prompt you to upload your resources. So what I'm going to do is actually upload from my Google Workspace. And I'm going to recreate something that I have already created. So what we're going to do is make a 9th grade, I said 8th, 9th grade, just to accommodate those who are maybe at a lower Lexile level. So I'm going to add this Google Doc, which is my rubric for an assignment, this PDF, and this PDF. These two PDFs are different perspectives from a historical event that we are going to have students create a comparative essay for. So I'm going to insert those documents. You'll notice once those are available, the notebook, even though it's untitled, this is an all right title for me for demonstration purposes, and it'll give you a brief summary. So now I can come down here as a student and I can ask it to compare differences and similarities between these two documents. And you'll notice these two documents, one was written by Frederick Jackson Turner in 1893. The other one was written much more recently, if I can find a date on here. I can't, but I do remember knowing it was within the last 15 years. So two very different documents over a historical event, and we need to be able to have our students be able to read these context-rich documents and be able to see commonalities and differences for their comparative essay. So what I'm going to type in is just ask the notebook to show me where these two documents are agreeing and disagreeing on topics. I'm also going to remove my comparative essay rubric because really I only want to know the differences between these two documents. While it's thinking, I'm going to bring one thing up from the classroom. Okay. So it will highlight the similarities and then the differences. And it'll show you from the two different documents where those differences are, where you can find it in those texts, and it'll give you multiple different examples. So it's a thought partner for your students. Something else that's important to know about NoteBookLM are there are features. This little button right here, Configure Notebook. If I press this, instead of having the general settings for my NoteBookLM, I can create a custom conversational goal or guideline. So I'm going to ask my notebook, please respond at a middle school level as a thought partner and tutor, helping students to analyze the documents to be able to see commonalities and differences. Please use language that a teenager could understand. Never do the students work for them. Instead, guide them through the process. And just like at least myself and some adults, the longer the text, the less likely I am to read it. So I'm going to go ahead and put shorter responses. We are now going to copy this prompt, refresh, and ask again. And you can see here some of the functions it offers you. I'll show you those in a minute. All right, so seeing the commonalities, the importance of westward movement, the centrality of land and resources, the idea of cultural change, and now seeing the differences, the clashing viewpoints, and it gives it to you in a table. So now you can look at the nature of the frontier and the native justice system, consequences for native people, and the view of progress. And it'll show you in both of your sources where those differentiate. Some of the other interesting options over here in Studio that you can do, or you can create audio overviews. So if I click this button, which I won't because it'll take a little bit too long to load, I have one already loaded. Is if I click here, IT, is there a reason that the audio won't play through the laptop?
It's not going yet, it looks like. Or no, it is.
I paused it. Well, we should hear voices here in a minute. My volume's on my laptop.
Hang on, I gotta go to you. You're gonna have to
Okay.
let me patch in.
Okay.
You didn't tell me you were using audio.
I'm so sorry. That's on me, you guys.
You diva.
There's just so many options.
Yeah.
I've got so many bosses here. You're gonna get me fired. Actually,
You didn't read our contract writer?
Yeah. That's a promotion.
Join their domain
Sorry about that.
No.
I didn't know you were going to use audio.
You're fine.
Hang on, let me pull this up. All right. All right, go ahead and give it to him.
Okay, let's try this one more time here.
Turn your source volume up. Yeah, it's quite the contrast.
All right.
You're up now.
So what we're hearing now is an audio overview, only 17 minutes. And what these two people are doing in a podcast style is they're going over the commonalities and differences in these documents.
Exactly. And on the other hand, we have a modern, very detailed report called Over Incarceration of Native Americans, Roots, Inequities, and Solutions.
And that one paints a drastically different picture of that same history. A picture of confinement, trauma, and slavery. Then came the second wave, the purchaser of land. These were the settlers building farms, towns.
So what this does is it allows for you to create something that a student can listen to in class on their own, maybe for differentiation. I've had a lot of student athletes with concussions that are encouraged not to have direct screen time. This is a good alternative for them to be able to stay up to date with the content that you are having in class while they are healing. This could also be used for IEPs with students with different learning issues as far as reading, maybe dyslexia, maybe they're below lexile, and it just helps them to stay current. Some other options that we have in the studio, you can create mind maps, video overviews. This could be helpful to add to your Google Classroom for missing students or student review. But then you can also do what's called reports. If I click on report, there are 4 main options that pop up, but if I give it just a second, it's going to load suggestions based directly off of the materials I've uploaded. So it can give me a historical narrative, an explanatory text. It can create a study guide or a briefing doc, or you can create your own report if you would like. Something else that I can do is I can refresh my chat, or not, it does. Oh, I didn't even start a chat, so I don't need to refresh. I can say, man, sorry for my spelling. And just so you know, if you misspell, the model will know what you mean. So now I'm asking it to differentiate this context-rich historical document for my below lexile readers in class. So what it'll do is it'll give guiding questions, and you can prompt it to do something different, but it'll give key concepts, what the source says, again, cited, so you can go back and directly look at that. Give you the guiding question too, and so on. And then it'll give student instructions on the next step. So again, they are the ones doing the work. They are using NoteBookLM as a thought and research partner. Now I can ask, what about translating this document for my Spanish speaking students? And again, NoteBookLM has 100+ languages. And now I have a similar format for somebody who is not fluent in English. So it'll give the concept where that was found in the document, and a simplified explanation of that for all the arguments stated in that paper. And you can do this with any of your course materials, be it lecture notes. Maybe there's something that you need to translate, a vocabulary list or a study guide, and it will do that for you instantly. And again, coming up here, you can choose how you want your NoteBookLM to interact with your students. You can create quizzes.
Hold on one second.
You can create quizzes, mind maps, flashcards. Right now, I have a study guide that I've already created. So it'll
You
give
can,
short answer
but
quiz,
It wouldn't get you anywhere.
essay
like
questions.
unless they were a part
And
of
if
the
you want to
notebook,
copy and
that
paste
wouldn't
that
do them any good.
into an assignment,
Because
maybe a
what that
printed
essentially
version,
does is when
you
you
can
click
keep
on
the
something,
answer
is that
key
it
to
asks that
yourself as
question
well,
within NoteBookLM.
knowing your students
So
are only
that-
able to ask
Yeah,
questions,
yeah.
but
And
not
so,
look at the
like,
documents
see
that
this
you
as kind of a
upload.
flat document and not an interactive document, unless the students have
At this
access
point,
to
does anyone
NoteBookLM
have
as
any
well.
questions
Yeah,
over just the setup
Yeah.
of NoteBookLM?
that's what the classroom thing does,
Got it. Okay.
right? But that would be
Yes.
a use once your students, we get to the point where your students have access as well.
So then in my classroom,
Yep.
Yeah.
well, they can only see the picture.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
So what I
We
did
don't-
is I downloaded the
we
PDF
can't-
off, or you
we're
can
not
take
there yet, where they
screenshots,
can-
or copy paste into a Word doc, whatever your curriculum allows you to do. I know some curriculums don't allow a PDF download. And I just took those and I
that's a good
included
point.
the teacher edition for my use. And then if you'd like to remove that for a student-facing one, you can include it though. Students aren't
Yeah.
able to access the information that's in there. They can only interact with the notebook the way that you have prompted it to. And you can make a notebook for every chapter so that you don't have an entire period
Yeah,
where
that's a really
you're
good idea.
PDF downloading all
absolutely.
of the different chapters within modules and units. You could do it one chapter at a time. Yeah, any other questions, maybe from subjects I haven't gone over?
Is there a way to, like, I punched in like my next thing that I'm going to be doing for U.S. history. Like,
Sure.
I did a quiz and flashcards. Is there a way to print those? Like, we do have Chromebook access, but we're not one-to-one in the high school, so like access to that sometimes. How do I?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me go back to my notebooks. You said you're wanting to print a study guide, like a quiz?
I made a quiz, and then when I click on it, it would be within the notebook.
Absolutely. So let's do the same thing for me. I'll create a quiz, generating based on the 3 sources that I provided. And then waiting. Cue Jeopardy music now. You are able to share and export. I just want to be able to show you that feature. A good example I have is here on flashcards that's already been done while that's generating. If you click share, and if you are going to share it to your Google Classroom, even if you haven't, you don't want, I'm not sure what your goal here is, but if you're uploading information for students to be able to reference, and then you also want to create a study guide and upload that to Google Classroom or just to print it, you can share that. You can copy a link to that artifact. Jason, do you have anything to add on that?
Is the question about printing them ultimately? Yeah.
I could, like, have the quiz in
Yeah.
a way that it could be in, PDF
Yeah,
or
totally.
Google Docs or something, so I can download, print, just for sometimes like the limited access.
Oh, totally.
Technology for.
Yeah, I don't think these flashcards do that yet, but that's something I want to
Quizzes.
play with a little bit. Oh, it's quizzes?
Yeah.
And flashcards would be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in fact, I would.
I could just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, and also and one of the things I should say pedagogically here that I think is important to note is that, I think this materials generation is an important piece of this, right? I'm not sure yet that this is the stuff we want students doing, right? Like making a mind map is a good example of this. And I think we talked about this in August, right? Like when you're accessing something, right? Like when you're learning something, when you're parsing information, it's a massive convenience to have something that could take all of your resources and create a mind map out of it, right? But if we're teaching information literacy in context of content, or if we're thinking about how a student might break something apart, I don't really want them to have access to a mind map, right? I want them to make a mind map because that's a learning concept, right? And so, starting to differentiate between like what you're doing as a teacher because you're a professional and you've got a lot of information to move through and you may be learning something new, or maybe you're teaching something you haven't taught before, or have no academic background in, which I mean has been the case for me in context of classrooms, then that's one thing. But just remember that it's not necessarily, even though what we're leading to here is students getting access to Notebook at some point, I don't know if it's pedagogically defensible to then have students do that for information, right? Does that make sense? So we're evolving our plan a little bit here, but I think our goal here is to have you successfully create a notebook today, right? And then start to interact with the information. We got a couple other demos we want to show you maybe a little bit later, but what we want to start with is with you making a notebook. So if you want to make a new one, or if you've already made one before, or you need assistance in one, McKenna and I can go around and assist with that particular piece. But that's our initial goal today, is to get you started with a notebook. It doesn't need to be school related. In fact, my favorite notebook personally is full of recipes, instead of being like classroom related. But start to build some muscle memory around this as an AI tool that can help you parse through information. So we'll start there. We're going to circulate around the room here. If you have questions, if you need help finding something or help putting resources in, we can assist precisely with that. And then we'll come back in a little while here once we all are kind of in the same place and start to show off a couple more demos.
And what I'll just leave up here for you guys to look at, see if I can make it a little smaller so we can get a little bit more info here. What's on the board right now are different use cases if you're having trouble thinking of an idea. So you could put unit plans, textbook chapters, instructional standards. If you want assessment creation, you could put in rubrics, past test questions, learning standards for your own professional learning, conference notes, research articles, PD material, and then even communicating with parents, right? A lot of times our emails are a little redundant. We get asked the same question again and again. You can have it to generate a copy-paste template or a copy-paste response for those repetitive questions we get from students or parents.
Got it. So, do you feel well stretched though? I mean, did you get the kink? Okay, good.
Man, I had another thought that I was going to mention, but it'll come back to me once I'm up moving around. So be prepared for that announcement. Did you need this? You're good. Okay.
Okay, so let's make some notebooks. And again, if you get to a point where, well, and part of why I'm here too, like if you're already got a notebook and you want to start doing something much more specific, just, raise your hand. I'll come chat with you. So. And for those on the live stream, we are keeping an eye on chat if you have questions.
So even though the Google Classroom thing didn't work out, what I think I'll do is I'll just go in and just show them where they go to insert NoteBookLMs or whatever into their Google Classroom
Yeah, that works.
after they've gotten something down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say let's go ahead and give this about 20 minutes. Continue to circulate. Let's stay in the notebook creation part of this for a little while before we jump back in the classroom. In fact, I kind of see that as the last 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And yeah, I was gonna mention something, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but whatever, it'll come to me later.
Oh yeah. Well, I often keep a little note card with me when I'm on a stage in order to write those kind of things down, because otherwise I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Co-collaborate with the notebook. So like Mitch and I teach the same class, human geography.
Yeah.
So like if I create this, can I invite him?
Yeah. Go to share in the upper right hand corner.
Now is this just gonna like if I share this and Mitch, I'm sharing a notebook with you.
Yeah, and so you want to change from viewer to editor, and then you'll both have the same kind of access.
Okay.
Yep, perfect. Yeah. Awesome.
And then if I want to unshare it, I can.
You can do exactly that.
Remove him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Okay.
My two sources. So the first thing I want to do is the audio overview, but I can't remember how you said to make it short. How do I?
Oh, okay. So, to make your responses
I'll tell you
short,
what we're gonna
so
show off
There's
some of the
the
media
audio
creation.
Oh,
in a
okay,
little
so
bit,
you
but
are.
it's really
audio
good,
overview
but
is right here,
it's
but it
so
will
much better when you give it
it
a
will
very
still
narrow
do it.
focus. Otherwise, it'll start to ramble, especially if you
while
have
we're
like a
here,
lot of
well, you can click that.
sources.
It'll take a second to
And
generate
so
anyway.
there's I think the
but
little
what you want to do is up here on this toolbar.
exactly
That's where you
right.
Can go in
Yeah.
and you can,
Yeah, and then you see that box at the
but
bottom.
be a
You can give
learning
it
guide,
a
but
very
always,
direct
like,
prompt.
especially if it's student,
Yeah,
it's not
and it will
student-facing,
even
I
follow
will just
instructions. This is not
personally-
good
I
for
look at a
classroom
wall of
use,
text
but
all
it
day,
will
so
even
I
follow
can sort
instructions like, yeah, no one under the age of
but
30
if
is going to
it's
ever
going to
listen
be
to this, so go ahead and just be
student-facing,
very
just to
frank, and it will
reiterate
be
almost
weirdly
3
frank.
times.
And
Never give students answers. Redirect them and do not. Well, notebooks
Mhm,
train
yeah.
not to respond to silly middle high school
oh,
questions.
who are you taking a class from? Okay, yeah,
Quickly, because the prompting is where I have trouble.
yeah,
Never give
yeah.
students answers, and then what else? Did
yeah.
you say?
And in fact, I
that
taught
redirect them to the so instead of answering,
action
redirect them
research
to the process
last year
and
when
the
this
main
just first
purpose
came
of the
out,
assignment.
and we
So
introduced
then
it
instead of
after
it
we'd
just
kind of
saying,
done our
I
initial
can't do
lit
that, it'll
review,
say,
and I
I
was
understand
actually
you want
pretty
the
shocked
answer,
at how
but
good
I'm here to help you
the
learn.
product was.
So instead,
So
let's
yeah,
review the
yeah,
process.
yeah. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Purpose
Yeah,
of
and
what
I,
you say,
I
learning,
don't
purpose
know
of
if this would have been good
lesson?
Of the
because I
assignment,
wrote a
yeah.
dissertation, but I will tell you that I stuck my dissertation in NoteBookLM, and it pointed out some things that were really good points that I'm glad no one on my committee
And the
noticed.
frustrating
So
thing is
it's
that
like,
Notebook
oops.
LM and all AI is advancing and trying to fix and accommodate educators and other enterprises that
Yeah.
use it. So this could be changed. So you want to go ahead and always save that. So now,
Do I do learning guide or not?
you would click custom, and that's where you would put this in, basically.
Uh-huh.
And
So-
you could do that if you would
So
like
once it's in there this one time, then it's going to be there for any.
chat features.
Yeah.
Yes. There are some options for customizing reports.
You can help some other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll circle back around too if anyone else has any questions.
Oh yes.
Can you sign in?
Did I get signed out?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm gonna bring up my account at some point just
Okay.
for something to show off.
Absolutely. That's a fun pop-up, isn't it? Go away.
Okay. Yep, that's good.
Okay. Good question so far.
Yeah.
Here's one that I was asked. I'm not sure if you know. So you can customize the chat response. Can you customize audio overview?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them
Maybe-
have a little box at the bottom,
That's
and
what I
I can
thought.
show exactly that. Yep.
Yep.
Is your mic bothering you?
This one?
Yeah.
Is it not working?
Oh, no, it's working. I didn't know why you put it on the outside. No, and that's fine.
Oh, no, I went to the restroom and I
Oh.
didn't think everyone needed to hear that. Do you want me to, do I flip it?
No, you're fine. No, you're perfect.
Okay.
No.
I don't mind either way how
Okay.
it attaches.
Okay.
And I just didn't think anyone wanted to listen to that. So
Actually,
And by the time you go to the restroom, I'd lose connectivity to
Oh,
you anyway.
okay.
So, but it was good. It was good for you to do that. Yeah. But everybody just heard us talk about that though. So on the feed. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
So the code is working now. Why it
Wasn't
waited
before.
a full hour when basically it's the same setting as an
Okay.
hour ago. But I did restart my computer for what that's worth. But is there a way we can fire that back up?
Yeah.
for
Yeah, so
everybody?
I think maybe Jason, why don't you go through your cool things and then we'll worry about Google Classroom at the very end,
Okay.
and I can show implementation features at that point. Were you able to get there from my computer?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And this mic is in fact working.
Are we using any more audio off the computer? Or are we done with that?
Actually, no, keep that up for right now. In fact, it'll just
All right,
be.
and your mic is hot too.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jason, if you want to mention it, if they raise their hand, I can still walk around and
Okay.
talk while you demo.
So if you are struggling with getting a notebook up and running, then McKenna's going to do a little focus around the room. I want to kind of show you for a moment, and I mentioned this earlier, the notion of, like, there's a lot of classroom uses, and I think all of the examples that McKenna shared are really good ones. But one of the ways that, especially if you're not envisioning quite yet how this works
You would
professionally,
just click
I
right
think
there. Upload
making
source.
personal
If it's saved as
notebooks is a really
PowerPoint
good
to your
way to
computer,
start to
simply
wrap your
there.
brain around it, because, you know, honestly, it's
That's where
it's
you would
less
be able to find however you
it has
organized
less
PDFs or
implications,
PowerPoint
right? So as an example of this, you know, I probably
you have a problem
bookmarked
with it, you can
100
always download your
YouTube cooking
slides,
videos,
or
2/3 of which
you
were
could
during
transfer
the
PowerPoint
pandemic,
to
right? And, you know, that information's useless to me because I'm never going to go back to a YouTube playlist and find recipes. But, you know, you can add YouTube
If you're going
videos
to
into a
upload
notebook,
sources from your
and
computer,
suddenly
if
they
you wanna do a
become,
slide
you know,
or a doc, you
very
would just go to your drive.
very much accessible, right? And so you can ask questions of that, or I've got these ingredients, which one of my recipes do that? But I also want to give you a quick shot here, and I think the way to do this is to show you something kind of silly. I showed this demo off to my in-laws about a year ago and stuck in an operator's manual for a lawnmower, right? You know, which are not written in the best of text for the average user. But what it demonstrates really well is how it can take somewhat esoteric information and turn it into something, you know, really usable or actionable. So like McKenna showed you before, there's the create a podcast feature. I know some of you in the room have already done that. In fact, even used it in context of either learning yourself or something you're doing in your classroom. But the interesting thing about NoteBookLM and its podcast feature is that it can be interactive if you want it to be. So I'm going to give you an example of this. I'm going to start the podcast I created. Of course, it's cheesy. It's Beyond the Blades, the unearthing hidden hazards of the YF22 ESSPV lawnmower. But I'm going to start the podcast.
So when he starts it,
Welcome
you
to the
can
deep
click
dive.
this
Today we're
join,
doing something a little different.
and you
maybe
can talk
something
to it
from
and have a
Fox's side
conversation
about
too.
second thought.
Yeah.
You
what's
can
that?
also use this pencil to edit how you want
Specifically
it to
for a
go.
gas lawnmower, the YF22.
Jason will explain really well.
Okay, the classic read me never document.
Exactly. But our mission today is to actually.
Okay, so obviously I'm not going to play you 13 minutes of a lawnmower manual podcast, but the point is that this is interactive, right? And so when you click on the interactive version of this and you're playing, notice there's a join button.
Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
Why? Allow when using site. Yes, I do. Can I safely lick the battery?
Oh, that's a very specific question.
Excellent one that brings us right into the point.
No, you definitely cannot safely lift that.
The manual has a whole
Bummer.
section on battery strap.
And it warns about the lithium ion battery.
It says improper use of battery pack and charger can result in electric shock and fire.
And it also says do not short circuit.
It adds never place any object into the battery pack terminal.
And while it doesn't mention licking specifically, we can infer that anything that might connect those terminals or introduce moisture is a leaking battery.
Plus, you just don't know what chemicals are on the outside of any device, especially one
Yeah,
that's
the
got
audio
battery
feature is
pack.
interesting
Yeah,
because
the
they
one
try to
with the
mimic a
key battery
podcast and
charger
like
and
there's supposed to be two people, but you'll hear a third voice pop in. But what
Well,
it does is it makes
okay,
it
can I
really
use
easy to
this in the
conversate
rain?
with, or to review something really complex for a student in a conversational format.
But it's literally drilling right into the
It's a great
uploaded
transition from a
information.
battery one.
It's just reading those documents really quick and then
But
creating
it's making
an overview.
Under the general
It's cool.
operation safety section, it says.
Right. Again, ridiculous, right? But the point is that you can really interact with your sources any way you want to, right? And again, our vision of this is that it does have a lot of direct student application, but I think the best way to start to wrap your brain around how this works is just to use it to parse information yourself, okay? So once you get sources in, try making a podcast. Some of you notice that it will make a video for you, which works out well. But again, it's very much a more like a PowerPoint presentation than it is like an interactive video or like an animated video. And you also note in all of these that you have the little pencil icon here. If you click on that instead of just the big button, you can actually determine what specifically the video is about, right? Or specifically what the podcast or even the quiz or reports are about. You can now choose like the style of video if that's something that you care about. But the important box here is in the bottom. What should the AI host focus on? And again, if I were to use my cheesy example about the safety of using a lawnmower in the rain, I could make it very specific to that question, and then they will write the podcast script and generate the voices based on that specific question. So go ahead and give a shot. Now that you have a live notebook, create a piece of media. Try the interactive mode and talk back and forth with the host. I think I mentioned this earlier when the advanced group was looking at user or NoteBookLM in August, but it really will take any query seriously, whether it's a serious query or not, which I think is actually a bit of a superpower, but also something that you want to be thoughtful about as you're engaging with it. But we'll continue to circulate throughout the room if you have questions or if you want to walk through something very specific. So give this a shot.
Embed this into something else, like my slides or something, or do I have to go back here as the source of the audio? I downloaded it to the file.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got all these questions, but I kind of want to save it, and I don't want to make a document.
Oh, yeah,
Is
you
that
can-
what you do?
well, if you're trying to
I
add
would
to
make a
into,
document like for me
lecture notes.
personally, but
Yeah, so
if
I'm
you
just
click
trying
save
add
to
it,
note,
like into a slide or something like that, so I can just
then it will
play
appear on the
over
right
in
hand
the
side
middle.
there.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's try.
But what
Go
if I
ahead and
want to
say
start
insert.
fresh? Because I've already made a document out of all of this, but I want to ask a new question.
Then go up to refresh in the upper right hand
Oh, and
corner.
it just clears
Okay,
it.
we
Yep.
just want, okay, go to
And it's like a new
file,
chat.
maybe.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Is there an upload? Oh, there's
Okay, so now it's saved there.
download.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can also too then turn that into a source if you
The only
like,
other
so it would
place I'm
refer to
thinking
that
maybe
note
file
as
or
well,
tools.
Okay.
right? And so you start to build up like a library over time, and in fact,
And it gave you a PDF
50.
file, right?
Yeah. I used to coach speech myself, so I see exactly what you're building here. So,
It's complicated.
yeah, it is, and
This is
What
going to be
happened?
really great.
yeah,
So it should be a media player.
coaches are a little snobby sometimes. So, as you might have figured out,
Maybe
but
you can download.
but yeah, I think that's a perfect way to use this actually. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really
Three dots are down here.
even just how to break down my practice.
Yeah,
you know.
totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Or give feedback to kids on scripts for
One place you can
for
put
oratory
it is,
and
I know
that
you
sort
can
of
put
thing.
it in
Run the
Google
kids'
Classroom, but that's not
scripts
optimal
Oh, yeah.
for you.
Yeah, and give it. Yeah, in fact, what I would do is that if you do find a lot of sources about how to write like a good original oratory speech, what I would do is have this kids give you the script in Google Docs, right? And then you can unselect everything except for the ones that say what makes a good oratory speech and theirs, and it will only refer to those two. So you could literally say use the source about good oratory speeches to evaluate the oratory speech I've selected.
Interesting.
And it would
then
literally
give
do
them a
that.
breakdown list of things they
Exactly.
could work on.
Right. Yeah. Based on this
Just
criteria,
another
then
media
do that.
file. Let's open file
Yeah.
location. Where is it being saved on your computer?
They would probably be better than the typical judge
That could be
nowadays. So watching on that,
Yeah,
the
so
same
you
was true
could
30 years
move
ago.
it
So yeah.
to-
Yeah.
So if you're putting it into lecture notes, if you go back to your lecture notes,
I don't
what
miss
will it
that.
let you
Yeah,
upload
I don't
as?
miss that at all. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And well, and you need it, but also like when you start getting to the bottom of the barrel of judges, then that's not always the best thing. And yeah, it's tough. Yeah, and we're one of the few states. Oh yeah.
From your drive.
I want to say you're wrong, but I was one of those sensitive kids at one point. I guess I turned out okay, but yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So if I, let's say I go through and
Yep.
click the articles I found about Oracle.
So you already tried adding it to your
Yeah,
Google Doc? Do
How do I? So I would.
you remember what the name of it was? You were just
Right.
searching
Yeah.
for-
So assuming
Is it this one?
that the student
Oh, yeah.
shared the Google Doc with you, right?
Right.
And then click add.
Okay.
And then one of
you
the
didn't
options
touch
you
on
would
that.
have on the ad screen is
Oh,
Google Drive.
found this one. This is, I was just looking.
And so you can
Oh,
literally
okay.
just select
So,
the
yeah.
document or search for the
Got one right here because we were just going through it. Doesn't, I don't think it likes that file. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is the
Oh,
only
yeah.
one that's popping up and nothing actually shows up here when. So then.
Okay.
I
So
only click
yeah, in
that
fact,
one.
you've got it set it up perfectly
Yeah.
now. So you can just
I know you
literally say,
definitely can.
like, based on the criteria here,
Maybe you can
evaluate
download?
the
Oh, it didn't give you the option to change properties.
no, it would still be able to do that. Oh yeah.
File information.
Yep, that's exactly it. Name it.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't really want you to.
No, that's okay. I can do a link to this file.
Well, I'm gonna send Jason over because he might know a workaround,
Okay.
which is kind of an issue with AI. Is sometimes you have to do workarounds.
Yep.
Because it,
Something like that.
Notebook
That's exactly
doesn't want
it, yeah.
to participate in anything
Press go and see what
outside of
happens.
Google Slides or
I think it'll
Google
work,
Classroom or
but
whatever's in the Google umbrella.
we'll still delight if it
So
does.
If it's
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
based off of
But,
the
it is
video,
possible.
Oh, yeah.
finding like that.
Oh yeah.
Make a worksheet for this information. How do I then
This guy is super helpful.
download this worksheet?
So if you scroll back to the bottom of your answer,
Yeah, there it is.
you can say
Cool.
save
Yeah.
to note.
That's also a much longer
and
critique than I
then
would have guessed. So yeah,
sometimes
that's
if you
great.
go over the three dots. Oh no, it's all good. That's
And
cool, yeah.
when you get
If you
to
click the three dots,
Emotional foundation
convert
for
to
evidence that requires
source.
significant refinement. That's great.
yeah.
And now,
And if you
click
ever
on
find that the tone is too rough, right, especially
and
for
you
your
press-
sensitive kids,
go
then
ahead and scroll down,
oh
show
oh
us
no
the
no no
breakout
no
page.
no I'm leaning into it. Trust me. So yeah yeah. So
What I'm gonna have you do is
the
click Notebook again. Just that little icon.
just say I need your
the little
tone to be
notebook,
nice.
yeah,
Like
icon.
you literally just demand
And
it,
then click
right? Like oh
on
no,
that.
or even say like this kid's a little on the sensitive side.
They don't just wanna edit the
Like they
title,
need you to
though.
tone it down a
Go ahead
lot.
and click on it again.
Yeah, and it will follow
Maybe only give 3 suggestions to start.
exactly, or like the most obvious
Go ahead
quick
and go
wins,
add.
right? And I think that this is it's underappreciated a little
Right,
bit,
exit out. It
but
should
the
allow
same
you
way
to
you talk to a
export it.
kid, right?
one
Like
workaround
and
would be
with
copy paste
nuanced
from your Google
language
Doc.
or like when I'm trying to get it to give me better output, I'll literally say things like, yeah, I need it to be just a touch funnier, or I need it to be just ever so slightly
See that button right
less
there? That'll
technical,
let Jason
or
copy it.
I need your tone to be way more
And then try-
terse
I
or
don't know if
something.
you can
Not
do
sure
this,
why
but
you
you
would
just
want
want
more terse
alt
tone, but
stop
that like yeah, literally you can say those very subtle pieces to it, and it will probably react in the right way. Because it's and again, it's because it's
Oh, that
simulating a
was
human
it.
being,
Is that-
right?
that's
So
that
you
cool?
can ask its
The
human being
summary?
questions. So
So
yeah.
since you saved
Yeah,
it,
so yeah,
to
give that a
notes,
shot.
You can click that. Scroll
Well,
down.
yeah, absolutely. So, so like when you say visual
doesn't
arts,
have
you
the
talk about
copy
like
option.
traditional art. Oh yeah, okay.
You don't like
Oh
the
okay.
way it
Hi, good to see you.
In a lot of AI, you're gonna want to edit anyway because it just screams AI.
Yeah.
I just
Much better.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes if you want to just paste as plain
Yeah.
text,
Oh, of course.
that works
No,
a little bit
you don't
better.
have to
I
explain
personally
anything.
prefer to
You
just
don't
go
have to
back, delete
explain
the
something else.
emojis, and get rid of a
So-
lot of the random bolding it puts
I was
in.
that too, as a matter of fact. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna send Jason over with your
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too that you may have heard the criticism of AI that it's sycophantic, right? That it kisses your tush a little too much, right? And to be clear, mine does very much, right?
Something about this recently. It's like, oh yeah, that is poisonous. That is, oh, you might die. Oh, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
a mushroom comment or something. Like
Yeah.
As a response to you?
First, like those are edible.
Yeah.
But they're also poisonous.
Yeah. And it really wants to say yes to you most of the time, right? And and it's interesting because I do think there's a middle ground here, right? Like some of our students really do need to hear like really positive reinforcement, especially if they're not getting it in give me a summary.
Is it on? Testing.
But
Oh.
but as a lyrical poem.
Testing. Okay, good. One thing I just wanted to
So
mention
this
to
is a
everybody
this is a
is that
video
Notebook
about
LM is
AI,
also an
right?
app on your phone.
And now the summary.
So if you're like me and you have an interest in a variety of subjects and you are sitting down late at night and you find an article that you like,
for strict
you
control
can
of the sources you
download
choose,
that
let
and
Perplexity
upload
curate
it
the latest URLs for
from
you
the
to
Notebook
use.
LM app, so that
Right,
it doesn't take
like-
the long process of emailing it to
It's gonna
yourself
win no
and doing it
Pulitzer
on your
Prizes,
computer later.
but you know,
It'll also
it'll try
help
to do
you
it,
if you
right?
want to have an audio overview of research papers or new articles, so that on your way to work, you can get a 15-minute summary of documents that would have otherwise taken you longer to go over. Highly recommend the app. Jason?
So one of the things I think it's really important to practice, in part because I think you kind of want to simulate the middle schooler experience for sure, but I think it's also to help you understand the what these tools do. We're used to computing where 1 + 1 = 2, right? And you get an expected answer every time. And if it doesn't compute, it tells you exactly that. That's not how LLMs work. And in fact, they're going to really, really, really try to do what you ask it to do. So I stuck a random YouTube video into NoteBookLM, and it's about how to create workflows in AI. And I asked it for a summary of the video, and that's easy for it, right? And it's doing a pretty good job, and it's walking me through that. But remember that you can ask it to put it in different formats. And I think one of the ways to start wrapping your brain around what that looks like is just ask it for completely ridiculous things, right? So in this case, this is, again, a video about workflows. Now give me a summary, but I want it as a lyrical poem, right? So there's ChatGPT, the generalist in the lead, and Gemini, the builder for every need. Do we need this in a lyrical poem? We do not. Does it provide any clarity? It does not. But the point is that don't limit your thinking to a simple prompt, right? Like if you want it in another format, or you want it to be the most complex answer or the least complex answer, you can do that, and it will also generally not push back even on ridiculous asks. Like here's now I want a summary in Pig Latin, and now it's giving me a summary of this YouTube video in Pig Latin. Not even a real language. And so think about this from the standpoint of if you're asking a question of this, don't limit yourself to the first question you come to, or ask it for something completely out of left field, because that starts to show you that every time you hit the ball to AI, it's probably going to try to hit the ball to you back, even if what you're asking is flatly ridiculous. So make sure that you're using queries that are not standard or logical, or even make any sense, right? Because it's probably going to hit it back to you, and then you start to see how divergent thinking can be supported by a tool like NoteBookLM. So keep pressing on it, and we'll continue to circulate here.
So we're done at 1:30. They're still working on things.
1:30. I think we're done at 11:30, aren't we?
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 1:30. I'm like, okay. Got it.
Please no. So now that we have the Google Classroom thing working, I can show them how to upload those tools, but also be able to let them interact with, if they want, like I know he's an assistant principal, with the board meeting minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So you tell me what time. I don't think that'll take more than.
Okay.
I mean, I can make it last as long as you want.
Let's go 9 minutes, because that takes us to 10:30. Let's do a 10-minute break.
Yes.
Right. And then when we get back, you start in on the Google Classroom thing now that works.
Yeah.
And if we have any leftover time, let's get like if anyone did something interesting, let's get examples from the audience, right? And then, if we have 10 minutes left over at the end, I can show more, tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
tricks, you might
Sounds
say. If you stumbled into something interesting, also grab one of us too, because we play with this stuff, but
We want to know.
Yeah. What's working, what's not working. Or if you get something flatly ridiculous, that's even more interesting. Oh, it's still thinking about it? It just straight up failed. It said it failed.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say all you did was press the button, right? So you pressed that button wrong. So wah, wah.
So that's what I started with, and I went over there and took a picture of the textbook so I could try to enter it in there. But
nice.
Couldn't really find it.
Were you trying to upload a picture file, like an image?
I was just seeing if that book was on the web that I can just grab it and then put it in there because I don't have the digital version of it.
What kind of phone do you have?
Samsung.
Oh, okay. They don't have a document scan, do they? They might. There might be an app for it.
I'm not sure. I can check into that.
Yeah, Apple has one,
Good.
and that's what I did with my textbook because I had a textbook from like 3 years ago. But yeah, you take a picture and it'll make it into a PDF document.
So
and
the way I would do that
So that's a
actually is,
workaround
well, actually you could do it one of two ways. It probably is going to follow that command, like you named the actual video, right? The other way you could do it is if you go to the top of this list and click that check mark, it's going to unselect everything. And you can just select the video that you want, and then it will base the answer only on that video. And that's actually a very powerful piece because if you think about it this way, let's say you have well, in fact, you're in this topic, right? So you want trauma invested stuff. So you've taken some notes, or you have maybe a de-identified student document where you're having a particular issue. You could only select the sources you want here, plus that document about the particular student, right? And then say, based on the sources I selected, give me a critique of that document, right? So you're choosing what it's basing all those pieces off of. And once that kind of clicks with you, it's actually kind of crazy because you can literally put in anything in there, and maybe it's 3 sources that you're judging that, or maybe it's just the one source, but you have a lot of control then on what it's basing the answers off of. Yeah, which is wild.
And then, like, for 6th grade kids, like summarize 10 to 12, and for 6th grade students.
Yeah. And if you don't like the first answer, the other thing that's also very useful is that you can give it kind of vague instructions that head it in the right direction. If the 6th grade version is too technical, instead of just saying make it less technical, you could say make it ever so slightly less technical, right? The more descriptive you are, it's actually a little better at fine tuning. But if you just give it a direction that, that's way over my students' heads, let's try 4th grade this time, it'll do that as well. Yep.
I was just informed too that if a teacher has a textbook that is not digital copy, but they want to be able to upload it, Google Docs has a document scan that will send directly.
Awesome.
I didn't know that.
That's great. I didn't know that they didn't either. Yeah.
I've been using Apple Notes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's super cool.
yeah, so that works right into the so.
OCR, baby. That's exactly correct.
And it grows so rapidly, it's hard to keep up.
I know. Thank God I invested in NVIDIA 4 years ago.
Oh, I'm actually quite jealous. So how you doing on it?
Yeah. 587%.
Oh God. Yeah.
And it was all because I followed like a subreddit.
Yeah.
Like Nancy Pelosi invested.
Yeah.
I got into the GameStop short.
Nice.
It's just like this stupid.
Yeah.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, there's.
I told my wife, she said,
Yeah.
I almost sold 7 shares of our NVIDIA the other day, and I was like, I'm gonna pay for my master's, and didn't, and should have, but it like spiked.
Yeah. 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 It is a gold rush that's not healthy, but still fun to watch. So yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it's infinite at this point.
Yeah.
And then having another, like using the LM, I was showing someone, I'm a pretty big user of Magic School's AI too, but I was just looking at now being able to combine.
Oh yeah.
Combine what I've done here, and then.
Yeah.
It's just. I'm supposed to do less, right? That's the idea, but now there's so much more.
Yeah, yeah. That well, in fact, that's been kind of my problem. I subscribe to more of these services personally than I care to say, but like they're all really cool, but at a certain point, you're just then nerding out to nerd out, right?
Yeah, it's another one of these like the more you know is the less
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
If I could just use the most basic
Yeah.
functionality, here are my sources.
Yeah.
Here are
That
the
I'm aware of.
presentations
There
I
should be
created.
more though.
Yeah, yeah.
Here,
Here?
give me. Give me quiz.
So Yeah. hard
to find a platform that
Oh, and can you provide me some video links?
Yeah.
And can you provide primary sources? Oh,
like Adrian.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because like Google AI Studio, it is exactly what we need.
Uh-huh.
But when Michael went to open it up for students,
Yeah.
there was this explicit warning that said like, do not allow access.
I'm going to show off one other quick demo, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump back into Google Classroom because we have that working now. But you have available to you a very impressive tool as part of like regular old Gemini. And I wanted to show that to you because if you're struggling to find sources that are relevant to a very specific question, one of the ways you can deal with that is ask Google to do the research for you, right? Which would have been a real dream 5 years ago, but this is Gemini. You have access to this. It's nice to have a district version of this, because all of your information is held safe. And the way you know that is that they put this little icon here with a little lock key. That means that whatever you put into here does not, it's not used to train models. In other words, Google doesn't have access to it. But there's one really important thing you should know is that like everything else you do in Google in your school account, it's all recorded for e-discovery, right? So literally, there's an archive of that available to administrators, right? Not school administrators, but IT administrators. I think it's an important thing to note. But if I wanted to get a research report on something that's really narrow, you have access to Google's deep research model as part of Gemini. So I'm going to click deep research. I'm going to say create a comprehensive guide to inquiry lessons in 5th grade social studies. Our focus is Montana history. Okay. It's going to say, okay, and this is not like a Google search because it's not going to pop up something right away. Instead, it's going to create a research plan for it to do the research for you. Okay. So here's my research plan. I'm going to research these websites. I'm going to research key periods. I'm going to synthesize the information. I can edit the plan if I don't like what it's going to do. But I'm just going to go ahead and say start research. And in the background, it's going to open up this screen, which you'll notice I can actually click on show thinking, and it's going to now do a series of Google searches for you and start to analyze the results. Okay, so that takes us to 10:30. We're going to take a 10-minute break back at 10:40. We're going to go jump back into Google Classroom after I show you the results of this deep research report and why this would be useful to you. And then we will be done with our time. So 10-minute break, 10:40 back here, please.
We do have some papers with that school code on it if you need to.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to too, you can just, I think I have the classroom open still.
Yeah, and I think the slides, so.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
Boom.
Okay, so what I found was through this organization, OpenAI and Lovable, they're working on coding for teachers to jump into vibe coding with ready to run lessons. So if I click on Explore Hour of AI, those webinars, I just had the date up to, bring these tools to your school. Join our webinar on November 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that's like what, 4 p.m. our time?
Yeah.
Right after school. Do you want me to email you this, or let's see what I can just have on the URL here. The URL is, I would try just putting in lovable.dev.
Yo.
Or if you maybe just type in lovable for the next generation, hour of AI, something like that. Google should give you something.
Yep.
Yeah, because actually our IT guy is the one who shared this, because him and I are big into coding. That one. Nice.
Oh, it put it
So,
in.
and then,
I'm trying to remember the name of that
if you were to
format. It's
click
like
that, it'll
latex
tell
or
you the
something.
times, and you can, yeah, right
I
up
don't.
here, you can
Here, let me do a
register
little
to
quick Google
do
search
that
here.
training or that webinar. Book a demo. I'm always
Yeah.
hesitant with demos because
Yeah.
they're all salesmen. But at least it's free to register for that. Maybe see it out.
Well, I'll have to check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to find a platform that isn't either ridiculously expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just put in a really weird spot.
Yeah. Things progress so fast, and then it's
by the time
monetized.
we make a decision here, yep.
Yeah. Well, and so right now FLL is AI and VR concentrated, and immersive and virtual reality is kind of my expertise. Although I'm very fluent in AI and know a lot of tricks of the trade, but both are becoming so monetized that MTDA is here to kind of partner so that you guys don't have to pay for that. Instead, our legislation can. So yeah, and we're only about 3 months into our 2-year period. So in the spring, we'll have a lot more, and if we can keep up, which that's what we are doing, but it progresses so fast.
Use the massive mark to use the massive mark web
absolutely.
app or a third-party Chrome extension.
Yep. And we'll circle
preserve
back
the
around,
Chrome
make
OS
sure you
format.
found a solution, and if not, we can keep problem solving. Absolutely. We said 40, right? Okay, good. I have 5 minutes.
Okay, well, it's possible, I'm told. Okay. Go to the massive mark.
Oh, left my watch at home. That's not the right way.
Well, and of course, that's a paid-for website. Nope. Use a third-party Chrome extension is all for exporting to PDF. Open your NoteBookLM project in the desired note.
Okay. That one's locked,
Click
I think.
export.
So.
Yeah, but that's not the way that works. Manually export to external tools. If you want to use an external tool or extension, you can manually copy and paste the text, copy the combined notes to using the combine to note feature. Turn. I wrote a script that doesn't do us any good. Okay, go to mathjax.org. Scroll down. Keep going. Try a live demo. And I think you can paste it into there, and then we'll convert it to. Yep. and then render HTML. Okay, yeah, then I think you can.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Where does that go?
Well, I think you then copy and paste that instead, right?
To the Google Doc.
Yeah. Theoretically. It looks like I only did the first part, but see if that works, and then.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
cool.
better anyway.
Yeah. Adding math checks to your web pages. Nope. Turn notebooks into notebooks. One-click export. Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know where Jason went. We got a few minutes.
There is also a browser extension.
All right. Thanks for figuring out
that will do it as well.
Okay. Weird.
Because you know how it says in Google, it can take
That like a specific Chrome extension.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's called NoteBookLM Text
And that's
TEX.
my bad because I didn't respond immediately. You know, because we all talked about it as a group, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll let him know. And then I was responding to a help desk ticket, and I was like, I didn't tell Michael. But you were right.
That
It's
might
the
be
same
something
domain.
you need to get Michael to turn on.
Okay.
But it probably would work in your
Let's see.
personal Google account.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and it's specifically designed around export Google Notebook LM Notes to portable Markdown or LaTeX. So that will also render it as well.
All right, as we get closer to that 40-minute mark, if Jason's around helping you, or if you're finishing up something on your
Yeah, you're
end,
welcome.
you can continue to do so. I'll give it a minute, and then I will walk you through some of the resources that we have and some of the ways you can implement this into Google Classroom for your students or for grade-like course subjects for you and your colleagues.
Yeah.
I'm at the elementary level.
Yep.
But I was trying to do what you had said
Mhm.
to create a research guide
Yeah.
in Gemini. And I didn't get what I was looking for.
Okay.
Let me see what I'm doing wrong. So
Okay.
my kids do annotated bibliographies.
Yep.
And do I just put the prompt here? Or
Well, let's go and click on tools.
That's what.
Right. Okay. So actually, you want to go from 2.5 Pro to 2.5 Fast. So the top one there.
Okay.
And then under tools, you should now see deep research.
Okay.
That's what you're looking for.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I got
Yeah.
something that was not.
No, not what you were looking for.
Anything
Yeah.
like
Yeah. This is not deep or research. Yeah.
Probably didn't tune in at the beginning of your.
And I love that tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to sit here and kind of?
Oh, you want me to?
Well, it's up to you what you want to do.
Well, let me show off
Sure.
what the deep research. I actually did that under your account.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so thank you. When we left off, I had asked Google Deep Research to create an inquiry document for 5th grade Montana history, right? And again, that's a very specific thing that probably I wouldn't be able to even get a Google search that's going to give me results. It needs to mix things together to be able to do that. And you'll notice what has happened here is that I now have this relatively lengthy document with not only sources cited at the bottom, But it's a lot of information that I can now use as a source in NoteBookLM, right? And so if you have a subject, maybe it's how do I give substantive feedback on expository essays, or how do I grade more problem or project-based learning in context of, and then insert your subject here, right? And it will find those more unique websites and then create this guide. But what's nice about this, and it's part of, and I think you get 20 deep researches a month as part of your School Gemini account, is that I still think this is worth your time to go through it, right? Like, it's good in a pinch, obviously, to create a guide for you. But, read through it and make sure that it has everything you want to it, or everything you want to refer to, but then you can then use this document as another source in your NoteBookLM, right? So if it's not giving you what you're looking for, or you can't find the website that's very specific about that, this is just another way to start to use the Google tool set to generate answers to this. And it's pretty solid. You can, and the more kind of esoteric the topic is, the more this is probably going to save you time if you are in a pinch, or if it's something that it's very new to you. So Google can help you with that research component. So, okay. McKenna's going to walk you through the Google Classroom stuff from earlier. I'm still circulating the room if I can help you with anything during that time individually. And we're rounding the airport for a landing. So go ahead, McKenna.
All right, so up on the board, I do have that classroom login again. I saw there are 22 students, educators in this classroom right now, so we might be missing a few. And Jason, if somebody doesn't have that code, we do have it printed out as well.
Yep.
But go ahead and type that in. And again, that is not a capital I, it is a lowercase l. So give you a minute to do that.
Yeah.
All right. If you're still logging in, will you just raise your hand so I don't leave you behind?
So then would I put that into like my
Oh, good. All right. So I'm going to just minimize this code. Again, if you need that code, go ahead and raise your hand and Jason can come around. So this will be something that we leave with you so that you can come back and refer to it. Another great part of this is that if you are requesting information about NoteBookLM, or even if you want materials or resources to help you with your prompting, we can help with that too. Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
I think we need just one over here.
Thank you.
All right. So in here, again, here's our presentation slides.
Yep.
This would be the Hamilton edition of what would be the quick start guide, including different use cases for you as educators. And then specifically,
that's correct.
This Google Classroom you now have access to with copy and paste prompts so that you can go through and practice with what's already been uploaded. Also in here, if you have any questions related to
the other
this
option
training
too, I'm just
or
trying to see if there's
anything
an
AI,
easy way I can.
feel free to use this email, ai.help@montanadigitalaacademy.org. And the Frontier Learning Lab team will receive your ticket and respond to you with a solution or an action plan to get you the information or help that you need. And that can be any AI question that you have.
Yeah.
So one of the limitations
Do me a favor.
of
I think I can actually
NoteBookLM,
shortcut this for you.
I'm assuming
Go
no
back
one
to that
has
folder,
figured this out yet, but you
and
can
if you
only
just share
upload
that
50
folder with me,
resources,
so
which
there you
sounds
go.
like a lot. However, sometimes you need to merge documents in order to free up space to add more
Jason,
resources. So I just dropped in this URL,
Montana
this
Digital
web
Academy, all
page,
spelled out.
where you can, for free, without download and without advertisements,
Fair enough.
merge your documents together
Biggest
to
mistake
save
we
you
made when we
space
started,
for more
.org,
resources
actually.
moving forward. So,
Give me a second.
the administrator in the room, there's an example of board meeting minutes. So feel free to play with that, or even to use those sample value prompts within your own board meeting minutes. You could also upload handbooks, any sort of pertinent administrative information that you want your faculty to know. We briefly went over, tracking PLC notes and meeting times, different duties that were assigned and how those worked out, a 7th grade math curriculum, and then a assignment-specific notebook for a comparative essay. What I want to show you is if you get to the point where you are comfortable with what notebook you have created and it was intended for students, or if you create a classroom of your own for colleagues that are teaching similar subjects, the same subject, or you just want to work together with something, you can create a classroom and have only educators in your classroom to share. The way that you would share these is by going to classwork, clicking create, and where you can create an assignment, a quiz, a question, all of what you're used to. There is now NoteBookLM and GEM, which GEM would be like a bot, something that you create the parameters and guardrails to that would be student facing. So if I wanted to add a NoteBookLM, I would click this button. I can create a new one, or most likely you will be selecting an existing. And then it'll show you all of the different notebooks that you have. So I have a few different ones that range in a variety of subjects, from IEFA lesson planning and compliance to specific courses, to even my own professional development and learning. Once you've selected the notebook that you like, it'll auto-populate down here. You can give it a title, a description, and assign it to your class. It will then show up in the stream. Remembering that your students do not have access to open up the resources that you have put in there.
And to clarify, McKenna, they would need to have reached out to their technology director to get
Yes, when you get to the point where everyone is comfortable with their own use of NoteBookLM, you would then kindly reach out to Michael, who will assist you within the district's AI guidelines.
Yeah, just to clarify, a bunch of different teachers have already started leveraging Gemini. I'm 100% on board with supporting it, as is your building administrators. But we do want to actually get a hold of me about a week, or excuse me, not a week, at least 24 hours, if not 48 hours in advance. Google doesn't make it real easy for me to turn that on for smaller chunks of students. So just a heads up. Just let me know a couple days in advance. We can make that work.
And then I see a question. Was it about, okay.
We just want to share like one of the materials that we created.
Mhm.
Do we still need permission from you, Michael, for that? Like,
Okay, it'll be the same. Yeah, there you go. And that's you can upload exactly that.
So how would I do that?
Yes and no.
Let me.
You can,
Yeah.
I can kind of show you here
Oh.
what I have done. So if I go into
that's
my
not
7th
what I
grade
did.
math curriculum, and I created
Let me actually see if I can
flashcards
get a
based on one unit,
Web-based workload for
I
this.
can click the 3 dots and I can share. Where I can share it
Yeah.
has to be people within my
Yeah.
domain. But if you're using this for students, they would need to be in the Google Classroom where the notebook is shared.
Yes, absolutely.
And more just reviewing the material, organizing the material.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can like copy the link to the artifact, go back to my classroom, and then I can find my math curriculum, click here, add a comment, and paste it there. Or I could just go to the stream, new announcement, upload link, copy and paste that link that it gives you from your notebook. And then, chapter 3 flashcards. Once I post that, it's now in the classroom, but unless they have access to that notebook, they won't be able to view it. So that is something you and IT would need to work out. Yep. I like the flashcards. I think it's a good way for students to be able to review material in a protected manner, making sure that they're not using any of the material uploaded because they can't access these files as a student. But what they can do is use these functions. However, if I say, as a student, I want flashcards for only a student workbook for module 6, I would click that button and then create flashcards. So your students can also create review materials. Again, Jason mentioned the pencil icon. So you can come in here and you can also give it explicit instructions on what it's about. You know, card fronts must be short, 1 to 5 words for memorization. Level of difficulty you can make easy or hard. Number of cards. Maybe you don't want, I think it makes like 26 flashcards. Maybe you only want 10. So you can edit what you want from your flashcards. Again, if you come over to reports, it'll give you a variety of options. It'll load in objects or report suggestions that are specific to what document that you provided, or you can create your own. So I'm just going to delete this because none of us are reviewing 7th grade math, I hope. Maybe. I probably should. But all of this is here for you to come back and review. This document specifically, the quick guide for Hamilton, that's a really useful document. And then after this recording that is on YouTube is made public, what we will do is use NoteBookLM to give an audio overview so that this 3-hour presentation can be condensed down for you to about 15 to 20 minutes so that you can review it during prep time, maybe while you cook dinner, while you're driving to work, when you have the time to sit and listen. Are there any questions about Google Classroom and incorporating these tools? Awesome. Jason, do you have any comments perhaps I forgot to mention regarding Google Classroom?
No, other than, I experiment, right? Like, I think that these, especially Google Classroom's integration of these tools, it's literally changing every couple of weeks, right? Google keeps adding like a new this or that to it. And so, if it looks a little different, click some buttons, right? Like, you really can't hurt anything here inside of your school version of this, because the biggest risk with AI, other than the stuff we talked about in August, that occasionally makes errors and the logarithms are biased, yada, yada, yada. That's all stuff you have to keep in mind when you use any AI tool. But the best part about using your school version is that it's all protected inside of your school tenant. So you don't have to worry about which documents you put into there. Even if you have something that is a commercial resource like a textbook, you can, according to the Ninth Circuit, upload that into any Google tool and utilize the AI to process that. So experimentation is really the key piece here.
And a goal for us at FLL is that as we find about these new developments in these tools,
I'm not finding an
we
easy
will
web-based
update
one
that
for here,
for you,
but I have a tool
potentially
on my
and most
desktop
likely
that if you just
adding
want to
new
share with me the whole
announcements,
textbook piece, it'll take me
usually
5
with
minutes to
YouTube
turn into PDFs for
overviews
you. I'm happy to do
and
that.
transcripts, so that any new tools that are added, you can easily
Yeah.
access and either read
Well,
or
yeah.
listen to. And if you have questions about
And
those
then,
new tools,
and I have something else to
please
share
do
with you
contact
too.
the AI help desk. That's what we're there
Have been
for,
working
and we can
on
get
some
you on
Google
track
notebooks that
quickly.
we call knowledge oracles, basically, which is that we go out and find a bunch of open source college textbooks. And what's great about that is that
So I did
Notebook will
mention
actually
too,
turn that into
in the
whatever level you
customized
want it
feature
to,
of
right?
Notebook
So if you
LM,
want,
you can
5
give it
paragraphs
guardrails on how
the
to
impact of
act
sleep
with your
on mental
students,
health,
including to
it will
never
do
do the
that
students'
based
work
on,
for
whatever grade
them.
level or piece you want. But we
Not to
made one
get
for
too
psychology.
off
So I
topic,
can share that with
but
you
since we're on the topic of
is
Google
completely
Classroom,
okay to use
I've
from the
created
standpoint of
some
licensing,
for
and
gems or
that's another
bots
resource you can use as well.
using
Yeah,
the
and
same
that's
curriculum I
exactly
uploaded
your
to
scenario.
Notebook
First time
LM.
teaching through
I've
that
made a
piece.
7th grade
I think
math
it's
tutor.
actually pretty magical to have those.
And
those
so
things
this is
available.
something that you can create. And if I come over here, I can edit just so I can show you the guardrails that I have put in. So what you do is in the instructions, I put in the role of the 7th grade math tutor, including its name, the curriculum scope. Don't give any answers, redirect the process of focus back to solving following steps, and uploaded documents that I would like for it to use. So, and this stuff doesn't have to be handwritten. I utilize AI to help me to create the perfect prompt given my initial prompt. And my biggest piece of advice when prompting is never accept the first response. You can always improve it. If there's something you don't like about it, if there's something that you're like, ooh, this would be really helpful, just respond to the initial response with, this is great, but could you add something to this regard? And it will do that for you as well.
What do we talk about doing? I can't remember.
We said at the end, you were going to show some fancy features, and they popped up in your mind, and then
Okay. Yeah.
maybe just circulating the room again.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to switch me spots?
Yeah, and actually, I'm gonna do. Okay, who did something interesting to share?
Yes, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, I think almost everyone has a functional notebook now that is doing something for you. But did anyone run into something interesting, either like it was great or it was terrible? Like we're really looking for both examples. Anyone for a great or terrible thing that popped up? And what was the video about? And it did pretty good?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Okay.
But the notes that it gathered information from were extremely dynamic. They had examples. It was written in common and like accessible language.
Oh, like the source materials?
Source
Yeah.
materials. Well, yes.
Like
And
it used the exact language that I use teaching it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so what resource did you put in the notebook then? Like how did you get the exact language piece?
My notes.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
I put
Yeah.
exactly my notes that I give to students on how to start a luminary.
There you go.
And it had all of it, and it used my language, and then I asked it to put in Frederick Douglass' speech, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July," and it combined my notes with "What to the Slave is the 4th
Yeah.
of July."
Yeah, so and if you probably at one point right after it did that heard a little click in your head, and that click is you got it, right? Because it's one thing to treat it like a search engine, right? It's a very good search engine for your own documents. It really is a very different thing when you can take diverse sources from different places, times, and space, and then say, figure these out together.
So that's a great question. So Gemini is
Really?
like ChatGPT
Wow,
or
okay.
Microsoft. It uses
That's
the
amazing.
entire
So
internet
yeah,
to get
that's great.
responses, which is where you get
Okay,
what
who
are
else
called
found something
hallucinations,
fabulous
which is
or
completely
terrible?
made up things.
Like really looking forward to
Biases.
terrible, so don't be afraid to share.
And sometimes it'll have what's called leakage, where it'll use previous prompt response and it'll randomly put it in because it's not trained on just a limited amount of sources.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
NoteBookLM.
we know these tools well enough to
Gemini
know
is the
that
entire internet. where NoteBookLM
at least one of these responses was a
only
stinker.
going to look at what you upload. So in her example, it used her exact terminology because she uploaded her notes and lecture slides in. So like if you were to upload athletic student handbook, faculty
Okay,
handbooks,
so
you could ask it, do these all align?
Yeah.
If not, where? And
Oh,
it'll
because
fix
of the
those.
latex thing, right?
Or you can
Yeah,
create
and I will
different
also tell you
resources
too that
that
you've
will
probably
only
heard
use the
that a lot of these
language
models
that
are
is in
winning
those. It's
international
not going
math
to make something
competitions and
up
yada yada
randomly.
yada.
If it doesn't have an
But
answer,
that's a
it'll just
very
say,
different thing
"That's not
than
it."
like
Whereas Gemini would
talking
make
with an LLM, right? And I think that in fact that's the one content area that I think it's
It's a
probably going to
large
struggle
language
with the
model based
most,
off
at least for
internet,
the
whereas
immediate future.
Notebook is a retrieval augmented generated based on only what you upload to it.
Yeah.
Are there any like coaches in the room? At least one? Couple?
Well, go ahead and click share.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't think there is.
Okay, I'll make a quick
there
announcement.
there is for like when you get into
Jason,
Google
can I
Classroom
borrow your
that
mic?
you can make that into something that's shareable in there, so all your students that have access to Google Classroom would have access to it. Yeah, please do.
Is it on?
So like if I wanted to share it with them.
Okay, so I hear we have a few coaches in the room. I'm not sure if we have any counselors either. But something you can do with NoteBookLM for that part of your employment here is upload different stats from games or previous seasons to track progress. You can upload different plays. You can
know there
upload
is. I'm just not sure
information
what
to
it
help
is.
you kind of streamline
Because
the
I think you can
difficult parts
associate
of your
a
job
notebook
going through
with
data
your
and
Google
statistics,
Classroom,
and then
but that
be
may
able
be
to
something that needs to be
implement
turned on.
different coaching strategies to fix that as well.
Yeah, and if you
So
don't
if you
find
have
that,
the
ping
time
us
and the drive
and we'll get
to
someone
try
to figure it
that,
out.
that
for
is a
absolute
great
sure.
option.
Yeah.
For counselors, there's a variety of ways you can use that as well. We always want to keep student information private, and you are within your district's Google umbrella, so you do have that privacy. But you can use that to kind of track progress with certain students and suggest different SEL implementations or get advice or even have it show you what interventions with that student went well, what did not, based on your notes meeting with that student. And like Jason mentioned, if you guys are playing with this in the upcoming weeks and months and something has just been wonderful for you, please share that with MTDA and the AI Help Desk. We would love to feature you in our Substack because educators learn best from other educators.
I'm going to show off a couple of other.
I turned it off. Sorry, Jason.
No, you're good. I'm going to show off a couple other kind of like fun tricks that will show you kind of some of the power pieces here that once you get past the basic functionality, we'll do some pretty advanced stuff. And this is a notebook I created about assessment, right? And so there's textbooks, there's YouTube videos, there's all sorts of pieces here based on assessment expertise, right? And so what I did was that I added an old test of mine. It's called the India World Cultures Final Exam 2008. So real fresh content here. And I'm going to ask it to evaluate my test based on the best practices for multiple choice tests in the rest of the document, right? So you can start to play things off of one another.
It looks like.
So I'm going to say, take the India
So this would be the student
World Cultures, which is spelled wrong, exam 2008-09.
Can you scroll to the bottom and see if it will let you do a download?
Can you see it?
Because
I'm
I
going to
did
make
middle
sure
and
it can see the
elementary,
document. I
and
know
there
it
was an option
can,
to
but I want to
download
confirm that.
documents. So maybe just go to
And it's
like
probably going to tell me what the document is
Just
because
one of the-
it's built to analyze things. So it's probably going to give me an assessment of just a quick read of the test.
I'd love to have it generate.
It's going to be really slow because that's what a demo is.
What do these 3 lines have you do? Just takes away your option there.
There we go. Okay, it can see it. That's great.
I might just check a couple things here.
Okay, great. Take that exam and evaluate it
That's not a drag bar, is it?
for best practices
And it doesn't give you a teacher-facing one
for
from PLCW?
final
Okay, that might be
exams
the easier
based on the rest of the sources.
Sorry, it's going to take me a minute.
No, you're good.
So now it's going to literally read the other 43 textbooks and YouTube videos and websites that I found on assessment, and it's going to evaluate based on the criteria it pulls out as the most consistent or the most important based on those tests. If I wanted to, I could ask it to tell me which tests it would do and then say apply those specifically to be more narrow. But it goes through here, and I'm, by the way, I'm not surprised that it doesn't like this particular test. But based on the nature of the exam and established guidelines found in the sources, the exam demonstrates several strengths in assessment design, but also areas where it falls short of the current best practices ensuring quality, validity, and fairness. So it starts to walk through with me now the specific criticisms and also strengths that the exam has, and then gives me a set of things I could fix in order to make it better, right? And it goes as far as looking at individual test items and giving me a criticism on those items. So for example, avoid tricky or trivial items. It noted that I had a couple of trivial items in there, which is actually not a surprise to me based on how I used to test students. But that is taking your own document, taking an existing library that I've collected, let's say it was over 6 months or maybe just put together for the purpose of analyzing the exam, and applies one thing to another. And again, the inclination is because of notebooks, like what we think about as a notebook or a binder, is just to have it search inside of that, right? And that's incredibly powerful, right? I don't want to diminish what that can do. But the next level of that, as we heard earlier, is saying, great, now take this source and compare it to this source. Or take my thing that I just shared with you on Google Docs and evaluate it based on the other sources that appear here, right? Or even if you have your own criteria that I want to make sure that all of these test items are valid, right? To use a term from your test and measurements class a long time ago. And it's going to use then the information it has in the notebook about how to validate assessment items and then apply that the best it can, right? And when you get to that point, that's a really powerful way of thinking about Notebook. Because if you get to the point where you have 10 or 12 books, resources, YouTube videos that speak to the kind of teaching you want to do, or maybe how you want to change the teaching you're doing, or evolving in that way, then the Notebook provides a really quite extraordinary experience then for comparing and contrasting those documents. And I still think that especially if you're not looking to pay for a fancy model, Gemini from Google is at least as good as every other model, and there's a lot of people that think it's the best model available, so you don't have to compromise either, right? The school version happens to be also the best version, which doesn't always happen in the history of educational technology, as it turns out. So the fact that you have access to a really leading model, but in a secure, safe environment for school, I think it's a pretty magical thing.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Yeah, well, it's for elementary, so there's a lot of pictures.
Okay, we got about 20 minutes left here. We're happy to walk you through anything else. I've got a couple other demos I can show too of kind of wild things that we've created in Notebook that have been a very positive thing. I just want to make sure no questions, comments, anything out.
Yeah. Yeah.
of left or right field?
It's what I would do then, in the meantime, and see if I can talk to the CEO and also just do some investigating on my own. Is any concepts that you want a study guide for, you can copy and paste it into
So I want to show a couple other quick examples of kind of how I've used it personally. And one of the reasons why, and again, you can create NoteBookLMs in your personal Google account, right? You don't have to use a school Google account for this. But one of the things that well, I mean, I won't show the specifics here because I'm sure there's something embarrassing I bought here at one point. So, like last year, my wife and I were doing our taxes. And we didn't want to look through everything statement-wise that might be writable as a business expense. And as it turns out, you can upload all of your Visa statements into a NoteBookLM, and you can ask it to categorize all of the things that look like business expenses, right? And export that as a chart. Literally any information you have in that. A good example of this is my mom uploads all of the PDFs that the doctor shares with her after she goes to the doctor, in part because a lot of that is in language that was explained during the time, but she may or may not have written down, but it allows her to track things over time, right? Now, again, you want to be really thoughtful about this. I trust my credit card statement in Google. One of the and in NoteBookLM, one of the reasons why is because I have 20 years of Gmail that I trust to Google that has all sorts of private and personal information that I'm trusting with it. So I, extend that trust then to the AI tools. But anytime you have data that is either structured or unstructured that you want to ask things of, NoteBookLM does a pretty great job of constructing a way for you to interact with that. But I also want to show off one other quick thing. So I showed you earlier the deep research tool in Gemini. And as it turns out, if you ask it to do a deep research dive into a person and what their views are, it will write a pretty competent document for you to be able to take their views and bounce them off of someone else. So I've actually built this tool in a couple of different places, but I call this my Council of Smart People, which has a group of individuals. These are all related to like leadership people, right? Organizational health, Adam Grant and Carol Dweck and Kristen Tibbett from Harvard, Mark Cuban, Patrick Lencioni, who's an organizational theorist. And for me, this is the kind of stuff they don't teach you in leadership classes when you're becoming a principal, partly because that's such a technical degree. There's finance and there's law. But a lot of organizational health people, right, provide a lot of interesting insights on building up better organizations. But if you've read any of these books, Brene Brown's a good example of this. She's an amazing writer and a really good organizational health person, but I don't always remember exactly what Brene Brown advised, based on reading her books. So this is an example of putting a bunch of stuff in a notebook and then asking it to construct answers based on what I've shared on new approaches. So I'm going to say, hey, I would like to ask my team to get tats of my face. Is that a good idea or not, right? So these are all organizational health gurus, right? I'm going to guess they're going to say this is a terrible idea, but the fact that you can share with it podcasts or YouTube videos, or if you have a speaker or a teacher advisor or a motivational speaker that has YouTube videos, you can stick them into NoteBookLM and then ask it questions to apply it to different pieces. This is a query that the Council of Much Smarter People Than I Am must address with extreme caution. It touches on the fundamental principles of ethical leadership, organizational culture, and psychological safety. No, asking your team to get tattoos of your face is an exceptionally bad idea. And then it walks through the individual pieces about why that's the case, right? So think about, are there YouTube videos that have advice from a teacher guru that you like, or perhaps a content person in the content area that you're teaching that provides good practical advice The more you collect into the space, you can then create advisors for you to help give you advice on how to do things better, whether in whatever context it's in. I know folks that have created workout plans for this and basically created a personal trainer that personalized like a bunch of YouTube videos of a creator that's in this space. Like I mentioned earlier, my mom has done it with health advice. She's 76 and has 76-year-old problems and has done that particular piece there. And whatever the expertise in that you're looking to collect in one location, it is a really great and useful tool for making that information applicable, right? And so that's something else to keep in mind, is that you can just collect people over time that have expertise that you like and put them all into one location so that you can ultimately get a sense of what they would say on your particular problem or your particular situation by applying that information, right? And that's nothing what a Google search can do. There's no other equivalent to that anywhere in technology tool sets. It's a very new way of looking at information. And like we talked about earlier, again, I'm not sure this is pedagogically defensible to have students put a bunch of information into a NoteBookLM and say, tell me about this or summarize this for me. I think there's utility in going through the information itself. Like, we have to think about learning science in regards to that, but that's a different conversation than you, right? You are a teacher, you're a professional. You have a lot of technical information that's part of your preparation to set up classes and to do your professional work. I don't think there's any problem with adopting a tool like this that gives you that power to adapt or learn something new or take technical information and apply it to your individual context. And plus, like McKenna was showing off earlier, you can also create with the studio all sorts of information to be able to summarize that or listen to it. Or I think about one of our colleagues this past spring was thinking about how to use it with her kid that was studying for a test. Again, I think making a mind map or giving you study notes doesn't really help you there. But she helped her kid study the old-fashioned way by looking through notes, taking quizzes, quizzing himself, all the things that we teach with standard studying. But in the end, he was done looking at the notes, right? There's a certain point where that's over with. So she put the notes into NoteBookLM. She created a 10-minute summary audio, put it on his iPod, his phone, and then he went and shot baskets for 30 minutes, listening to the summary podcast 3 times over as the final study piece, right? That's where designing the thinking piece into it, I think, is an important part of kind of the teacher experience with these tools. So
that's okay.
Okay, we're down to the last 10 minutes. We will stick around for any questions you have. Remember, as McKenna talked about, AI help at mtda.org is always available to you. Especially since we've done a couple of trainings with you now, you can absolutely just say, hey, I was in the training on this day about this thing, and I'm stuck, right? You don't have to give us a long explanation of that. We're ready to go with those pieces. And I'll repeat one more time, especially since I'm hearing conversations now of you wanting to give access to this stuff to your students. That's the next frontier here, right? And I also think that that's not happening in a lot of Montana classrooms yet. Your experience is valuable to other teachers, both here and other districts across the state. Let us know how it went, right? Maybe jump on a Zoom call with us for 5 minutes. Let us record what you did. We could turn that into a post that we can share with other educators, or even throw out a quick YouTube video, because this is the successes and failures we need to start sharing out with others, right? And for those of you that want to be on the bleeding edge of this, good, right? Because I'd much rather have classroom teachers in making these first steps into it than having, a big tech company tell us, how learning needs to look in this context, right? That's a big, important thing to the way we're approaching this, okay? So we'll hang out here for as long as you need us to. We appreciate your time and attention today. I saw some great starting notebooks, and then a couple of you brought in great notebooks that you made better today. And again, if we can be help with any specific question, don't hesitate to ask. Consider us part of your tech team here, because in a sense, for this part, we are. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I think they're stoked.
Good. I hope so. Yeah, there was a teacher who also teaches PLTW, and we were talking about
Oh, nice.
trying to